Where was the gospel first preached to the world? In the synagogues of the Roman Empire. The first church, your first church was the one in Jerusalem, the ecclesia, the kahila. And who was the leader of it? James, the brother of Messiah. Yaakov, real name, Jacob. He presided over it. I want you to see something. I want you to turn to James 2 for a second. James 2. And I want you to see something in the English, then I'm going to show it to you in the original. Okay, verse 1 of chapter 2. My brothers, don't hold your faith in our glorious Lord Yeshua, Jesus the Messiah, with an attitude of favoritism. If a man comes into your assembly with a gold ring and dressed in fine clothes, and there comes one in poor and dirty clothes, and you pay special attention to the one who's wearing the fine clothes, you say, here, sir, sit in the good place. You say to the poor man, stand over there, sit in my footstool. You have made a distinction, and you have become judges with evil motives. So it's saying don't be partial. But something there. It says if somebody comes into your assembly, well, what's it talking about? This is James who's leading the first church of the whole age. And he says, if somebody comes into your assembly talking about your gathering, your church, what does he say? The word there is not church, the word there is synagogue. So here it's talking, the leader of the first church is calling your assembly the synagogue. So here they are joined together, and they're joined together over and over again. And so the biblical word for church is the same word for synagogue, and it's a translation of the same word. And the biblical word for actually church, ecclesia, is used for the translation of the Old Testament word, which speaks about the congregation of Israel journeying in the wilderness. What is the church? The church is the spiritual Israel. Doesn't replace Israel. It joins Israel. It's a spiritual version of Israel. And it's like a pilgrim people who are journeying through the wilderness to the promised land. So what does Paul say? Ephesians 2. Actually, turn to it for a moment. Ephesians 2. What does he say about you you were not born of Israel, but you were born again of Israel? Ephesians 2 says at the beginning, it speaks about the Gentiles who have come into the faith, and it says this. Ephesians 2, verse 11. Therefore remember that formerly the Gentiles in the flesh, meaning according to the flesh only, who are called unto uncircumcision by the so-called circumcision, which is performed in the flesh by human hands. Remember, you were at that time separated from Messiah, excluded from the commonwealth of Israel, strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. But now you in Messiah, Yeshua, you were formerly far off, you've been brought near by the blood of Messiah. Now how have you been brought near? Look at verse 18. For through him, we both, Jew and Gentile, have our access in one spirit in the Father. So then you are no longer strangers, no longer aliens, you are fellow citizens with the saints and are of God's household. Okay, the first part, it says you were strangers excluded from what? The commonwealth of Israel. Then at the last verse, it says you are no longer strangers, aliens. You are now fellow citizens. In what? What are you what are you a citizen of? What you were excluded from before, you are now a citizen of what? Israel. You are a citizen now. You were excluded from the commonwealth of Israel. Now you are a citizen in the commonwealth of Israel. So you who are born again, you weren't born of Israel, you are born again of Israel. And so therefore the church, in the same word as synagogue, is the spiritual Israel. And so what does that make you? It makes you not only a citizen of Israel, more than you're a citizen of America or any other nation, you are a citizen of God's Israel. What does that make you? That makes you an Israelite. Or it makes you an Israeli. Now you say, wait a minute. I can handle Israelite in the Bible. I can understand Israelites, the Israelites walked through the wilderness, the Israelites. But Israeli, that's a different realm here. When you think of an Israelite, you think of somebody from the Old Testament, most likely. ancient times. But when you think of an Israeli, what do you think of? You think of a whole different kind of person. You think of somebody in Israel right now. You think of the people farming the land, the soldiers, Israelis. But you say, what? But do you know something? You may not know this. When the Bible speaks of Israelites, it never speaks of Israelites in the original language. It says Israeli. When it talks about the Israelites, it's not. It's the Israelis in the Bible. That's the word. We added the ites. When you get into English, you got all the ites. But in the original, there's no ites. Jebusites, Canaanites. It's not that. It's Canaanite, Israeli. They added the ites. No ites in the Bible. E's in the Bible. So what are you? If you are born again, doesn't matter what you were born in the flesh, you are a spiritual Israeli. And when you go to Israel, you're not just seeing a land of what was, you're seeing a nation that's been brought back from the dead and resurrected by the hand of God.